How are you this morning? It is Sunday morning, February 27th, 2022. We're on the Deerwood Realty Livestream channel, and I just wanted to say hello. How you doing? Oh, I hit a wrong button there. Okay, good. Dare I apologize for yesterday? I was tired. And I guess we'll go over it. I had a deal, not a real estate deal, but had a situation happen like I guess Tuesday, and I knew the end would be on Saturday, and I didn't have the ability to rest since then. I was just exhausted. Yeah, just exhausted. And so yesterday about noon, I closed my eyes for a moment and I was able to relax for the first time since Tuesday. And it was nice. Now, being that, having that much anxiety since Tuesday, when I did finally get a moment to kind of rest, then when I came home, I mean, I just sat on the couch and fell asleep, and I got up. I was just the motivation wasn't there to continue the live stream. I think we'd been on 7 in a row, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm putting it on the new channel now, and it would have been good to continue like a long streak, and I'll start again tomorrow. But it's just hard to do something every day. That's basically the thing, and creating content, I've learned, is hard. It's hard enough just to have an idea, okay, that you want to talk about every day, but add to that the need to produce it. So even if you have an idea, you have to kind of record it, or you need to write it out, or you need to have some sort of framework from which to go off of. And then when you do, you're producing it, and then after that you kind of have to, I wouldn't say that editing takes a lot of my time, rendering takes up some of my time. And even on the live stream, I mean, I have to start an hour before the live stream just to get everything in order most of the time. If I'm in good shape, sometimes I can cut it to a half hour, but then it takes maybe a half hour after the live stream to get. So I mean, I've got maybe 2.5 hours into a 1 hour live stream daily. Add that to all the other responsibilities of a real estate broker, a real estate agent, and a lot of time. And I do, like I keep talking about, producing that live stream in the evening, for two reasons. One, I want to. I don't think my audience is ever going to be around at 9 a.m. I just don't. So for my real estate content, it's important for me to produce it, but I don't know that there's going to be an audience for it. But it's important to me to produce it because I feel like I'm bringing a perspective that isn't being brought. And you say, well, John, you're not even talking about real estate half the time. I know. I want when people, I know it's strange, but I don't want to be thought of as just a real estate agent. And that leads into the second thing, and that's this need to discuss employment in this day and age. And not that I can move the pendulum anyway, not that I can change things, but just to somehow acknowledge what's going on in the employment world, and like make sense of it, because it doesn't make any sense. And the things that you're kind of required to do to work for a company don't make any sense. And I think that even like the nature of work is confusing at this point. So I just think it'd be a fascinating topic, and I think that it would be at night. So we would have people on that would, you know, how do I put it? We'd have people on that um, we'd have an audience that's more younger, more skewed, and the ability to enjoy, um, other people's misery and work or success. I mean, I don't look if somebody's happy. I don't want to not profile it. I just the nature of work to me is exciting, and this would be something, and then it'd be different than real estate. Now the problems have been so far. It's like I don't even get like today. I could work all day. It's Sunday, and I don't know that I want to work all day. I'm still kind of tired, but I could use today to catch up. Now you say, John, don't you have a bunch of clients to show houses to today? Well, kind of strange. Yesterday I had to move my showings to my colleague Jan. Things were I wasn't going to be able to show property, and then today I'm not sure that anybody's going to want to see anything. I sent a message to some of my buyers on properties that I would go look at if I were them, based on what I know, and I haven't received anything back. And I think that's kind of the nature of real estate, in the sense that sometimes buyers just they just get tired. They just get tired. So that being said, I'm going to text my wife while we talk. Ought to be interesting. All right, there we go. There was the text sent. So, like you work every day, right? And then you get to the weekend, and you're like, I don't want to look at houses. I want to go do this or do that. I've been waiting all weekend to do it. Very much the same with buyers. Now, there's open houses today, so some of my buyers, if they want to go see something, can definitely go to an open house. I guess I could do. I'm going to write down, actually. I'm sorry. Whenever I get an idea, it's best to just get it written down anymore, because I'll lose it. See, I'm already close to losing it. Okay. Ugh. So, isn't that weird? Here's two things that are strange to me. One, when you have an idea, okay, it can flash away like that. That's number one. Number two, when you have an idea and you think it's a good idea and you write it down, and then the next day somehow there's context missing, and it's not as good of an idea as you thought it was the day before. I think that's amazing. That's the human spirit. And I'll put forth this. I have no idea what my live stream was about 3 days ago. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you one part of it. Okay, but as I've been doing the clips channel, when I go back and look, It's like brand new content to me, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating, and I can remember what I was thinking when I was, doing the live stream. I can remember thinking, and I can watch myself, okay, and I'm like, I would say this next, and sometimes I'll say exactly what I was thinking I would say next, but I don't remember having said it. That's why I'm very suspicious about this concept of we need to ban someone from from the culture. We need to shun them for something they said 25 years ago, like in passing. Only because we have the ability to record everything that they produce. Now you should say, well, you don't have a right to privacy if you produce content, and I'm kind of okay with that. To be honest with you, I'm okay with that concept. So, in 50 years, is somebody going to come at me if they want to watch all of my live streams? Okay, hour a day, almost every day, and pick apart something, or maybe splice together a bunch of things that make it look like I said something, or take something out of context. I'm kind of okay with that. I think it'd be more interesting than anything else. They got Joe Rogan on something he said 12 years ago. And I mean, and if you look behind it, it was quite a wonderful hit job by a group. And I know this sounds bad, but you know, I would be almost flattered at this point if someone took the time to be so mad at something that I did 20 years from now that they're hell bent on destroying me and my thoughts. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, the hubris, like that you would have to feel. I mean, you would have to feel like a god if someone would spend money, time, and treasure coming after you for something that you said, and first of all, they need to find something that you said that was wrong, um, which is troublesome. I reject this concept of going back in history from my point of life right now, my time right now, like today, and going back and assigning some sort of blame to something that happened in the 1500s, like some sort of vilification. Some sort of vilification for something that happened in the United States in the 1700s. I mean, seriously. And as we uh, as we go on, it's fascinating how history is written. Now, Scott Adams, who some of you probably don't like, and some of you probably haven't heard of, but Scott Adams says that history is always written from the side who won of any conflict. And this is true. And we're seeing this, I think, in the Ukraine. I'm not gonna, I don't know. I don't know enough about the Ukraine to talk about it. But I do know that what I'm seeing is propaganda from different groups pushing forth a narrative, hopefully one that's compelling enough to be the winning one in the war. I mean, like, to me, who would lose the most in a war? The people. The people who are dying, they lose the most. I mean, like, my whole ethos is that human life is important. Okay. And like, there's some sort of dignity in human life, and you should live your life in a way that is uh, dignified and proper. Other people don't think that way, and it's totally fine. But if the largest goal is to stay alive, okay, if that's the number one goal, then I don't like death. I don't like doing things that contribute to your death. So you could say, well, John, you drink soda, yes, but I'm not in a UFC ring, and I'm not in a war zone, and I do my best to avoid these things. Now, that's just the way I look at things. In this case, it's going to be fascinating to see how the history is written. I don't know. I don't know. But I see how history was written before, and I see people coming back at it now, and it's just bizarre to me. Like, what in the world are you thinking? Like, why do you think that your your opinion on like a social faux pas from 1920 is correct, is necessary. And to be honest with you, it looks like um, we can have a very there's maybe trillions of different ideas out there with regard to one topic. Like if I said Ukraine, it'd be a bunch. If I said Russia, there'd be a bunch. If I said Ukraine and Russia, there'd be a bunch. You know, like there's so much we can talk about. And maybe in the 2000s, there was not a movement, but an underlying discussion about 24-hour news coverage and how that's ruined everything. Now, you have to understand this was before the dominance of the social media platforms. But the idea is look, if you just keep showing, well, I remember Rumsfeld in Iraq, that was in the early 90s. He was saying, look, they keep showing the same image of this man, you know, breaking in and stealing televisions from an office and in Iraq. And it's like, they only did it once. Like there was no, I mean, but they keep putting on this loop, and it makes it look like it's happening all the time when it's not. Now, I'm not defending Rumsfeld. I'm not defending the whole deal. All I'm saying is that example is accurate. When you have to fill space, when you have to make content, things get out of hand, it seems. And you know, I've watched this. It's very strange. I'm in a spot where, look, I'm not making millions of dollars. Okay, there's no one really pushing my content anywhere. Okay, my numbers are awful. All right, I was where I was yesterday. Somebody said, you know, I know you have a podcast. I said, yes. You know, 3 people watch it. And I think yesterday my stream got 1 view to start. Now I know that after a while it picks up and people watch it, but the point is, I'm not in a position where I'm in any sort of power where my thoughts or my ideas can go anywhere. But there are people that are paid by like newspapers and, you know, other sources, and they have amazingly bad takes on things. And when they do, they get mocked. Okay. And I don't have a problem with that, but I just know that it's coming from me at some point in time. And an amazingly bad take is something to behold. The last one that I saw online on Twitter was the guy that thought that Chernobyl was an active power plant right now, and that it was producing power for half of Ukraine. That was impressive. That was an impressively bad take. You know, there's the saying, those that don't know history are doomed to repeat it. I don't know if that's true, but as I've tried to express to you, I think that everything is absurd. Like everything has gotten absurd. Like everything. None of it makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. None of it works. And so everything seems to be broken, and we're just kind of in this space. Now, is that true that it's broken around the world, or are there components that are still operating? Yes, there are components that are still operating, but everything is so absurd. And so I like to highlight that. Like I find humor in that, and I like to laugh, and that's another thing that, you know, I've heard that only 30% of people have a sense of humor. So, you know, I'm already working on a lower standard than everyone else. I can't be serious all the time. It's just not my nature. It's just not. So anyway, fascinating times. My goal is to bring forth something new in content and a take on content in the live streams. I've talked myself into putting the channel together now to start on the nature of employment, and I don't know where it's going to take us. I don't want to offend anyone, but maybe it will be. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out if my content is okay on YouTube. We'll go from there. So that being said, let's talk about the Google search trends. I saw two things that were kind of fascinating, and I wanted to bring them to you, or my opinion on them. I will switch over now. Now this is I'm not going to do the who's at fault for Ukraine thing. I don't. That's not. I'm going to do my thing. And how brilliant is it that Elon Musk says SpaceX's Starlink satellite internet service is active in Ukraine with more terminals on the way. Now, I don't even know what that means. Okay. But what I do know is that Elon Musk doesn't ever seem to take an opportunity not to promote his company or himself. And I'm not complaining about that. This is not a criticism. It's just he has a way of doing it that's impressive. It's almost like he's built for right now, for this time. It says the move comes as Ukraine's internet service has been disrupted by Russia invasion. SpaceX's CEO Elon Musk said that his space company's Starlink satellite internet service is available in Ukraine and more terminals to use it are on the way. Musk made the statement on Twitter Saturday after being asked by the Ukrainian government official if SpaceX could provide more Starlink services to the country after Russian troops invaded Ukraine last week. Internet services in Ukraine has seen significant disruptions in the capital city of Kiev and across much of the country due to Russian military operations and the ensuing fighting, the monitoring group NetBlocks reported on Thursday. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Elon Musk, while you try to colonize Mars, Russia tried to occupy Ukraine. While your rockets successfully land from space, Russian rockets attack Ukrainian civil people. We asked you to provide Ukraine with Starlink stations and to address sane Russians to stand. I don't know what that last part means. And then it says this was from Ukraine's vice prime minister, who is also the country's minister of digital transformation. I don't even know what that means. We don't even have one of those. It says Starlink service, and then the tweet is Starlink service is now active in Ukraine. More terminals en route. Now, I didn't even know that. I don't know how you add more terminals. Understanding is that they're in space, like you'd have to shoot them up there. I don't know if you can move them. I don't know. It says, now we're going to learn about Starlink because I have no idea. It says Starlink's service offers high-speed broadband access via a massive constellation of satellites in low Earth orbit and is designed to ultimately provide coverage anywhere on Earth. With a focus on remote areas or underserved regions, Starlink users access the space-based internet service using a satellite dish placed on or near the location where service is needed. It says Musk and SpaceX recently sent 50 Starlink terminals to the island of Tonga in the Pacific Ocean to provide free internet access to help reconnect remote villages there after a massive volcano eruption and tsunami. The Starlink terminals will help restore communications with some of the hardest hit regions from the national. So see how it says it sent 50 Starlink terminals? Now, how are you going to, now, again, there's a war going on. How are you going to send these terminals to Ukraine? Back of a truck, I'm guessing. So it says since 2019, SpaceX has launched over 2,000 of the satellites for the constellation, which is expected to reach up to 14,000 in its initial form. The company's most recent launch occurred on Friday, the 25th, when SpaceX lofted 50 new Starlink satellites into orbit from a pad at California's Vandenberg Space Force Base. Did you know about that? Not a complaint, but did you know about that? I mean, we're just flinging satellites in the air and nobody seems to notice or care. That could be a song. Flipping satellites into the air like I just don't care. SpaceX's next Starlink mission expected to lift off later this week on Thursday from pad 39A of NASA. There's 39 pads, launch pads, at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So, I mean, he's just every week or so, he needs 14,000, so he just flicks up 50 at a time. Kind of interesting, I think. Interesting. Interesting. So anyway, what do you think? I don't I don't know. I mean, who's paying for this? And then you say, well, it's a humanitarian thing. Nobody's paying for it. It's like, I don't know. Somebody probably should pay for it. Not in a negative way. Anyway, that's what I've got on that. So let's go to the next one. This is probably the more, I don't know if I've been that controversial. Anyway, let's I'm not trying to be controversial here, but let's just look. It says retired Florida cop who killed man in movie theater for texting acquitted of murder. I think this story is important, and I think that it's important for myself and others to like learn from in a way. I'll get into why towards the end, but it says the retired police. Now this is how New York Post wrote it. I'm sure you could write it many different ways. Okay. I'm gonna read it this way, and I'm gonna go with this, but that doesn't mean that this is the story is true as I read it. It may not be true as it is written. Okay. Retired Florida police captain who fatally shot a man inside a movie theater in 2014 was acquitted of murder by a jury late Friday. So what do we have so far? We have a police captain shoots a man inside a movie theater. That's the story. Man dies. Okay? Curtis Reeves, 79, was charged with second-degree murder after he gunned down, now that's their words, 43-year-old Chad Olson during a matinee screening of Lone Survivor in suburban Pasco County. I don't know anything about that movie. I don't remember it. Now, he's 79 now. And to me, this plays a part in it. The age does matter here. To me, it says defense lawyers and prosecutors were in agreement that Reeves asked Olson to stop texting during the movie previews, which started an argument that ended with the former Tampa police captain opening fire. Okay, so there's no argument about the fact that the older man said, "Hey, can you knock it off with the texting?" And then we know that there was an argument, and we know that he got shot. It says Reeves pleaded not guilty on the grounds of self-defense. His lawyers successfully argued that police training informed Reeves' decision to open fire as he believed his life was in danger. And that is, now I'm not a lawyer, but that is one of the like 5 components, I think it's 5, of self-defense. You have to believe your life is in danger. Now, to me, we'll get into it at the end, but it says he believed his life was in danger when the victim threw his cell phone at his face and appeared ready to climb over the seat and attack him. Reeves had more knowledge, more experience, more study in that area than anyone else in this courtroom. It's a dangerous world. Prosecutors countered that Reeves' ego was bruised when Olson threw popcorn in his face and there was no real threat. In his entire career, that is the most he's ever been scared. Absolutely unreal. He didn't fear anything. That's what a quote was. It says, Olson died at a hospital, his wife treated after being shot in the hand. Smiling Reeves embraced his family members after a 6-person jury sent home. I thought that was interesting. I always thought it was 12, but sent him home following a 3.5 deliberation late Friday. This is great. It's been a long 8 years. I couldn't wait for it to be over with. The case made national news in 2014, which I don't remember. Reeves claimed he acted in self-defense as Reeves claimed. He did claim this, but my point is that the case made national news in 2004 as Reeves could have been acted in self-defense under Florida's standard. It then says a judge later denied that claim. I don't know. To me, it's It's interesting. The trial was reportedly delayed due to hearings, motions, and COVID-19 restrictions. Yeah, I mean, this happened in 2014. It's 2022. So this man was in his 70s then. He was like 70 years old. Now, here's the things I wanted to put out there. Okay. One, I'm 44 and I'm not in good shape. But I would not attack a 70-year-old man, no matter what he did. Why? Because it would be disrespectful. Even if he had not shown me respect. Anyway, I would not attack a 70-year-old man, and I would not probably wouldn't have a gun to shoot someone in a movie theater. I wouldn't really want to carry my gun all over the place because of the possibility that I'd have to use it. Now, that's one. Now, so I can definitely, like right now, like I said, I'm 44. My arm hurts this morning. I don't even know why. I don't know what I did. I woke up and it hurts. This fellow that's 40, attacking this 70-year-old. Now, I don't think that guy had any idea that this man had a gun. But I tell my kids this, and I tell anybody that would listen to me. Look, you never know who has a gun. And you say, well, what if you're in a state where it's like, I forgot even the words. What is it? Concealed carry. Look, it doesn't matter. That's not, to me, that's not the point. Do you think that all criminals are law-abiding citizens? By definition, they're not. I mean, how many guns get stolen and then are used in crimes? You understand what I'm saying? The fact that there's a law against carrying a weapon doesn't mean that people don't carry weapons. And that's the case for many things. It's like there may be a law against it. It doesn't mean people don't do it. It just means if they get caught, they get in trouble, depending on anymore. I feel like it used to be, there were laws and you could follow them. Now, I mean, it depends on how the person was raised. You get on all this stuff, and sometimes people aren't guilty, sometimes they are, just depending on some whim of some judge, which is ridiculous. But that's the way it is. And so, anyway, I think it's reasonable to be upset about someone passing. I think it's reasonable. I think it's reasonable to be upset that the man died. I think it's reasonable to be upset that the man was shot. Do I think that justice was served? I don't. Does justice, see, the way people use justice anymore, it's used as like a weapon. Justice is a weapon. So was justice served? Did the person get their comeuppance? It's not, in the eyes of the law, did something flow? Did it go correctly? And in this case, I don't know, did justice prevail? I don't know. It's a very fascinating case because, like I said, the age to me has something to do with it. If I'm 44 years old and the other guy's 44 years old, I don't know. I'm such a pacifist at this point. I don't want to be involved in conflict, physical contact with anyone. I just don't want to be involved in it. And I intentionally stay out of places where I think that might happen. For example, like we had Mardi Gras here in St. Louis yesterday. It's a parade. It's 2 parades, and that's it. And it's heavy drinking, and there's all kinds of young fellas and young women in their 20s that are down there just, oblivious to the possible problems that can occur when you get a bunch of people together with alcohol. And I don't want to be there. That, to me, that seems like a right place for problems. But, it's the same thing if you go to a certain part of town at midnight on, a weeknight. There are certain spots that probably aren't the best places to hang out. So I do my best to avoid this situation. If I go to a movie theater, I don't think I'm in danger. Really. Does that make sense? And it's not like I don't believe, like, I don't believe that the victim had it coming because they went to a movie theater to watch a movie and texted. And I don't want to lose my life over texting. Does that make sense? I mean, it seems like if you're going to lose your life, it shouldn't be something so trivial. That's why this case is important to me, or is interesting to me, of note to me, because it reflects where I am now versus where I was in my 20s. I would be a totally different person then. So, what do you think? You should put it in the chat. Chat's not doing well today. It's pretty sick. It's been pretty sick for a while. I don't even understand why. And let's go talk about that for a second. I'm going to go back to the base frame. And this is always fraught with difficulty or trepidation, because when we do the next segment, I could forget to go to it to transition again, and then we would be in a bad situation. So let's go. What is beating me on YouTube right now? It's been a while, so it's going to have to catch up. Okay. Russia invades Ukraine live. There's 41,000 people watching that. That's the DW News. India Today, 7.2 thousand people watching Russia-Ukraine war. 16,000 people watching Ukraine live camera, multiple viewpoints of the Russian invasion. Ukraine live CCTV footage from Kiev, 1.2 thousand people watching. It's dominating live streams this morning. Now, if live streams on YouTube, okay, are getting that kind of views, what do you think that the War Machine press is getting in their terms of eyeballs? This is to me a problem with war. If you make it so that it is enriching to those who aren't fighting it, okay, that is the media. What is their motivation to not sensationalize it? You know, there's a difference between telling a story of an event, and overdoing it for profit. I mean, and I struggle with this in my own content production. For instance, like this fellow that we just talked about, the Curtis Reeves, the victim here, he's dead. Now, did I profit off of his death? I don't think so, because I don't make any money doing this. If I made money, I don't think so, because I was talking about it in the sense of the issues that I saw that were of interest to me. Now, the war, you've heard me talk about the war. I talked about it earlier today with the Starlink thing, but it's ancillary to me to the fact that the war brings a lot of money to the media. Media is definitely the enemy. They have long since passed on any sort of what is it, Walter Durante? If you look that guy up, that's all you need to know. Pulitzer Prize winner for the New York Times. All you need to know about the media, and that was in World War II. So I don't have any need for them. And I would caution you as an audience, and I hope that you understand it from my perspective. If you can fight the urge to give them your eyeballs and your time and your money and your life in the sense of your emotions and your feelings, do so. That's the best you can do. That's the best way to stop the madness of the war machine. All right. Let's get into some listings. Now, look, we had a bad run on listings. Newark, New Jersey is a terrible place for luxury homes right now. I don't know if it's always been. I didn't know it going in, but that was a terrible place. I don't want to go there. Now, residents of Newark, you're fine. I have no issue with you. But just for purposes of looking at luxury listings, terrible. I'm sensing we're going to have these problems going forward, and all I can do is take them off the list. Like what I'm thinking about is doing it this way. Look, we go once. If we see houses that are interesting, we go again. If we go the first time and the houses are terrible, and then we come back, months later and they're still terrible, they're off the list. Like Lincoln, Nebraska, Omaha. You guys need to watch out because you're really treading on thin ice for me wanting to see the houses. Do better. Do better in your architecture. Do better in your styling. Make it a place that I want to see and want to visit. That goes for the entire United States. Look. Do better. If you're a city and you're like, we want tourism, well, build houses that people might want to see. Use architecture to bring people to the city. Build buildings that are beautiful. Build locations that are beautiful. Places that are beautiful. Keep the crime to a minimum. Don't lose the perception of crime. It takes time. It took time to build places that are safe. It's going to take time to lose perceptions of crime in places if you've allowed it to flourish. So that's what I have for you. We will transition now so I don't forget, and we will go to Orlando, Florida, where I know there's going to be nice things to look at because I saw the top 3. SVN, Saunders, Rodsland, Dantzler. Don't know what that means. $25 million. Premier Sotheby's, $6.2 million. Premier Sotheby's, $4.2 million. Let's just assume that Sotheby's has the top listings in the area, but let's get to the first one. $25 million is nice. 55 pictures, 5-car garage, 172 days on the market. Like to look at the property history. Not bad. Just listed since 2021. It's right next to some water and stuff. Okay. So it's beautiful. I don't know if it floods. I don't know anything about that. It's on a 2.4 acre lot. Now, do I like this style? No, I don't like the way the floor looks. And I would like to walk into the front. Does it say anything here? What's the deets? Oh my God. Oh, that's way too big. We're not going to read that. We got 55 pictures. Now, this is a look, right? This isn't for me. It's kind of whimsical, filled with whimsy. There's a lot going on here. Now, don't take this the wrong way. You got a $25 million home, and this is the washer and dryer. Okay. That room is very interesting. Look at that. Look at that staircase. In a way, I like this because it's like this is what could be. But I mean, like, look at the TV. It's dated. Look at the kitchen. It's in like a bog. Looks like you got to clean that muck out. I don't know, 25 million. Fascinating. I don't know. Just a fascinating place. So I'm not into it for 25 million. It's not my thing. I just wanted to bring it to you so that you could see something that was fascinating, because I think that's fascinating. Okay, let's look at another house. This is $6.2 million, 5 beds, 7.5 baths, 9,609 square feet on a 4.22 acre lot, and it looks like it's right next to the water. I don't know if it's built. It says built in 2014. It says, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if it's real. So far, I don't know. The way the pictures look, 48 pictures, but that's pretty cool. Oh, it's nice. That's when you walk in. Now that's just awesome. Actually, that's where you walk in and you're down here. Nice big kitchen. If that's purple LEDs, I kind of don't like that. I think it looks kind of cheap, but whatever. Big, big bedroom, right? I kind of like the big spaces. But for me, I'm just gonna put it out. I don't sit on chairs like that. Like that they wouldn't be comfortable for me, and I don't want anything to do with them. That's odd. Just gonna put it out there. That line for the toilet is really, really long. I don't understand that. Why would you have it like that? But anyway, that's just me. I don't know anything. That seems cramped. Oh, it's better. See, it was just the way the picture was taken. I don't like the LEDs. I don't like that. It's cool. It's a cool house. And especially the location. I think all these will probably open. All those windows. And then your outdoor space. What's this? Okay. That's a nice house. 6.2 million. Okay. 4.25 million. 6 bedrooms, 7.5 baths. 9,529 square feet. Built in 1994 on a 1.27 acre lot. 3-car garage. What do we got for the property details? That's not too much. It's not too much. What about the property history? Listed since 2021 of April. Okay. Man, that looks nice. Like you're in a subdivision, but you're not right on top of the next person, and it looks nice. That says, I believe that's a lake. I don't know if it's a lake. I don't know. I don't know if the one in Orlando was a lake or something. I don't know. I'm just. I mean, it's got a nice little area where, like, I guess, the bugs and stuff. It's got a screened in. Look at that. Finally, 19 pictures in, but look at the size of that room. Beautiful. It's vacant. That is a huge theater room. Nice outdoor space. Pool's nice. I you guys would have to tell me in Florida as far as, I mean, I'm like, bugs attack me all the time. So I don't even know if I could, if I could enjoy something like that, but boy, it looks cool. Looks neat. Those are the 3 from Orlando. I'm happy with them. You're happy with them. Let's move on to some articles. I thought this was interesting. I did a live stream, I believe, not a live stream. I did a podcast on this. I don't know if I wrote a new one, and I wouldn't say. I would say that the idea was from this article, but I don't remember if I used it. But let's take a look here. It says, when you're trying to buy a house, your emotions can be all over the place. There are highs and lows, and you may feel like it's a mentally draining experience. Yeah, you could be feeling excited, stressed, anxious, disappointed, or even sad. It's normal to feel a range of emotions when buying a house. And that's true. And I went through it. I remember I don't think I used this article. I tied all of the moments when you bought a house into like what it could feel like. That's what I did. And so I took this article that is not what I think is the right way to go, and I changed it. I rewrote a different article, and I don't know that that's if it's copyright infringement or something. I'm not aware of it, but I did. This did give me the idea of the article, and so let's just look at how they wrote it and see it. So they said, so here's some ways to eliminate much of the emotion. Now, I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's possible. It says work with a great real estate agent. So if you work with me, I feel like I'm a great real estate agent. I'm not going to lie. We're going to go and we're going to experience emotions because it's an emotional process. And I'm going to tell you all the things that you may feel ahead of time, so that when it happens, you're not caught flat-footed. It says be strategic. Before you start the process of searching for a home, prepare yourself to be strategic. You need to map out all your needs plus your wants. You should have a list of non-negotiables, and then can have some of those things you might compromise on. Realize that you're not going to get everything you want by going into the situation, knowing this and knowing that you won't do without. You're being more strategic in your overall. I believe that you should be strategic in your overall approach. I also believe you should listen to what the market's telling you. So if you say, like, I have to have a fireplace and I have to have a 2-car garage and I have to have a remodeled kitchen, okay, well, what does the market say that? What is the market saying that's going to go for? What's the prices that is of that house in this market? Now, does that meet up with your pricing, with your ability to finance? And if it doesn't, then you're not buying that house, and you might as well just change your wants accordingly. It's just, to me, coming up with grand things with no basis of price doesn't make any sense. So, for example, like, I would like a 300-acre property, mostly wooded, in southeast Missouri. 300 acres. I'd like to pay at the most $500,000, and then I'd like a 2-bedroom cabin on the house and a pole barn where I could have my tractors. And then I'd like to build a trail around my 300-acre property that I could walk on. And would I get a pool? I don't know, maybe. But if I did get a pool, it would be a hot tub and pool together, because I think that's awesome. And I mean, that's just the way it is. Now, you're looking at $1 million property at that point. And I only have maybe $500,000 for the property, so it's not going to happen. So what I want and what's going to happen are two different things. And I just wanted to put that out there for everyone, not as a you can't have it someday, but you got to think about it in that terms. Now, is that strategic? I don't know. It says set boundaries. Along with being strategic about your must-haves, you need to set boundaries for yourself on a budget. These boundaries need to be very clearly conveyed to your real estate agent. To me, that's not. Here we go. It says if your real estate agent continues to show you things outside of your budget, leading to heartbreak and disappointment, you need to figure out why and whether you need to make an adjustment or perhaps rethink the person you're working with. If you don't want to be shown anything outside your budget, make that very clear. Some people don't mind seeing things out of their budget if they're searching for their dream home, but that might not be the right approach for you. I don't look at things that way. Here's how I look at things. If you want to go look at a house, we'll go look at a house. Now, I don't like to look at things outside of your budget at all because it's a waste of my time because we can't afford it. Let me get a drink, and then we'll go over what's going on with one of my buyers right now. One of my buyers has a top limit of $300,000. We're consistently looking at homes in the 220s. Okay, so if their limit is 300 and we're looking at homes in 220s, they're dictating the search at 220. They're telling me they really are serious at 220. Now, what I did was say, look, here's a house for 300 that come to the market. What I want to do is go look at that house, and then I want to compare that house with what we're seeing at 220 so that we can determine a value for this house that's 220. What is 220 going to get you in this market versus this house that's 300? Because there's going to be some differences. And so what are those differences? It's not automatic. That's what people screw up. It's not automatic that someone's going to buy the $300,000 house and it's worth $300,000. Just because it's priced that way doesn't make it right. And when you do that in the marketplace, when you say, okay, well, this house definitely, this was a good example of a $300,000 house. This house I'm looking at is a definite, because I've seen the $300,000 house. This house for 220 has quite a few of the same features, and it's only 220. This is a great deal. That's how I look at it. Now, does that mean we go consistently look at houses for $300,000? No, but we look at one or two that would probably bring that, so we know what we're looking at in the 220s. Now, I think you have to earn trust with people. And so I don't throw everything in somebody's mix the first day we talk about looking at property. I wait until I feel like the buyers are ready to hear these, have these conversations and ready to receptive to what I'm saying. So hopefully that fits in with this idea of setting boundaries. I can't imagine as an agent showing people property that they don't want, because how would that benefit me as an agent? Just waste my time. Approach it like an investor. Finally, you're buying a home that is right for you and your family, where you can see yourselves living. At the same time, while that is different from being a real estate investor, try to take yourself out of that home buyer mindset. Put yourself instead in the mindset of being a real estate investor. That doesn't mean you don't envision your family in the home or what your life might look like, but you can think more about numbers and facts versus the emotional aspects of the house. If you approach buying a home personally as that of an investor in this marketplace, you will fail. And I will tell you, I have a buyer right now who is convinced that he's going to get a house for less than asking, that's going to be this house that no one else in the marketplace knows about. He's wrong. And it's not my goal to prove that he's wrong. I let him find out that he's wrong over time. Investors don't spend stupid amounts of money on properties they can't make money on, unless they're dumb, and they won't be investors for long. So to think about buying a house as an investor, not very helpful in my opinion. If you're a residential buyer buying for personal use, there's no point. I understand the sentiment, but I'm just telling you, there's no point. Don't do it. Let's look at another article, one last article for the day. It's a very fascinating article, and I'm very condescending about it, because this is this Mike Del Prete. He writes wonderful things. You should always pay attention to what he writes. I've got the link in the description below. He studies this stuff. He studies the influence of online brokerages and online advertising for brokerages in the context of what's going on in today's market and how it works. So it says, just wanted to go over a little bit of it. It says, Zillow's new strategy has the company going back to its roots, doubling down on agent lead gen and extracting more revenue from real estate commissions. So they got their ass handed to them on iBuying. And so how do they make that up? They understand, Zillow kicked and just beat real estate agents to death. And they said, we don't even need you now. They used them the whole time. And then they're like, we don't need you. We don't want your money's no good here. We're going to be iBuyers, and we're going to be real estate agents, and we're going to show you're nothing. And so then, real estate agents are dumb. So they're like, okay, that's cool. So we still get to use your product, right? And Zillow's like, how can you be this dumb? Well, it's real estate agents, and so some of them are not the smartest. And so here you go. Now, then Zillow just gets whacked with their iBuying, and then they're like, well, what do we do? Well, we charge more. We charge more. Double what we used to charge the agents. Well, the agents aren't going to like that. Well, we don't care about the agents. We never have. It's never been about the agents. It's about us. And the sooner you figure that out about Zillow, the sooner you're going to be, moving from their platform. The cost for Zillow is too high as an agent, but we're just such a stupid group of people. We do this stuff. It's amazing. The biggest growth driver is Zillow's premier agent business, which it plans to double by 2025. That's an additional $1.5 billion paid by real estate agents to Zillow. These are aggressive targets and a step change from past growth rates, which respect the audaciousness of the strategy and clear signal of intent. Yeah, they intend to just soak real estate agents, and real estate agents are dumb enough to do it. By the numbers, Zillow's core business is stronger and more profitable than ever, giving the company a rock-solid foundation and plenty of cash for future growth. Earnings in Zillow's IMT business, which includes Premier Agent, more than tripled over the past 3 years. It's the profitable engine room of Zillow 3.0. Premier agents saw an acceleration in revenue growth driven by unprecedented demand during the pandemic. Now, look, what happened is like for me and everyone else in the business, in Missouri, we had 23,000 new agents last year come to the phone. Well, that's a lot of people, and they all need leads. And so, they all went and bought leads. We all sat around with our own lead generating groups. And what ended up happening was less listings for everyone, but you spent more on them. So the cost to acquire a listing was higher, which is, to me, the economics on it. If it costs more to acquire a lead, okay, that cost has to be passed on to someone else. It's going to be passed on to the consumer. The argument that says if there's more competition, commissions will go down is false. Demonstrably false, in my opinion. It won't go down because I have to pay more to get it. And if I have less business, I can't cut my rates because I can't stay in business. I have a fixed set of expenses. My insurance is like $450 a month. Okay. I can't do anything about that. All right. So that argument has always been wrong to me. I don't know who puts it out there that more competition makes it better for the consumer. I just don't understand it. In my business, the more agents, the less deals we do, the more expensive it is for us to conduct business. It's got to go somewhere, or we go out of business. And you say, well, you're going to go out of business. Well, that's fine, but that's a cycle. And honestly, when the market's super hot, agents don't do very well. Okay? We only do well when the market kind of cools and people get out of business, and then we do well for a while, and then it starts up again. It's a cycle. It's not a straight line, at least not in my business. Maybe it is for you. It says the pressing issue, Zillow Home Loans, its mortgage play is another key component of Zillow 3.0. Like Premier Agent, revenue surged during the pandemic, but has slowed down significantly in the most recent quarter. The most pressing issue is that Zillow Home Loans is consistently unprofitable. Zillow is managing to lose a lot of money in a business that others can operate quite profitably. The best case is that Zillow is smartly investing for the future. The worst case is that Zillow Home Loans is another Zillow Offers beset by executional issues and overextension. Is Zillow a one-trick pony? I certainly think so. They've never proven they can do anything other than get listings from all the IDX, providers. That all they can do is syndicate listings and charge agents for that benefit. That's all they've ever shown they can do. I just want to be realistic with Zillow. If I could design a website that could get all kinds of leads that I couldn't even take myself, so I had to sell them to others, that's what I would do. That's a smart business. There's nothing wrong with that business. But then I wouldn't try to kick those people that were buying those leads by starting my own brokerage like they did. That got a little bit obscene. I don't trust them as a company. Never will. There won't be a dime of my money go to Zillow ever. For that, they will not apologize for it. So I will not use them. Simple. It says the bottom line, Zillow's 3.0's plan is centered around creating more transactions for Premier agents and selling consumers adjacent services. Creating more transactions come down to connecting consumers and agents in such a way Zillow earns a commission. And that's a huge inflow of new business for Premier agents, and it comes to the expense of non-Premier agents. That's right. I will lose out because I refuse to pay Zillow. And it's a choice that I'm making, conscious choice. It's a complicated world. You have to make decisions, and that's the decision I'm making. And that's, if I'm going to die on that hill, so be it. I'm not paying Zillow a dime. It's not going to happen. So the rest of you, enjoy Zillow. Enjoy paying double for the same thing that you were getting now, because Zillow can't execute on any other product. And I'll just go about my way. With that, no podcast this afternoon. I'm taking the wife and we're going for a ride. Take the opportunities when they come. That's what I'm doing. So that's where I'll be. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'll be back at 9 a.m. Monday morning. I hope to